Pulp MX Network production.
Bringing you a cheeky Brit and an American YouTube racing sensation weekly. It's the LVK More Than Moto podcast with your hosts, Phillips and Kellen Brauer.
Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Leatt LVK More Than Moto podcast. I am Kellen Brauer, joined by Phillips, and we are done with round one of AMA Pro Motocross. Fox Raceway has come and gone, and there's a lot to talk about from that, a lot to talk about from MXGP even today. We're going to dive into a little bit of that as well. But first off, Big Lou, one round for you. It wasn't as hot, but we're about to have a gnarly one in Hangtown. How are we doing?
I'm fine. I live in Florida, don't I? So I think that's going to make me okay. Because even just now I was outside. A miracle, I know, but I had the privilege. And it's really hot. So I don't think that this weekend is going to be any different to what I'm experiencing here. Okay,
but have you done any sort of physical activity outside? No. Because that's the difference. On a race day, you'll walk around more than you think.
No, so surprising. I checked my step count after Saturday, expecting me to have done an impressive number. It was the lowest number of steps I've done in the last 6 weeks.
That's insane. What was it?
7,000.
Oh, I did 13,000 on race day.
Yeah, I don't know why. I average 15,000 steps a day normally. So
that's very interesting. Apparently, you have listened to Steve's advice and you are no longer walking around.
Yeah, I'm actually the complete opposite.
The complete opposite.
It'd be really... Actually, no. I was going to make a joke that wouldn't have landed very well. And I need to be careful after Pulp because, as normal, I feel like I'm on probation a little bit with the motocross community.
Well, I mean, we're not going to talk about the monologue, but...
No, let's fucking talk about the monologue, actually, Kellen, because I have a complaint directed towards you.
All right, hit me.
What? I did not give permission for this to be cut as a separate clip.
I did not do it. Do you want me to send you the text?
Who did it?
Marks. I got a text yesterday in a group chat from Steve saying, can one of you clip this? And I was not readily available. I was recording something else at that time.
Oh,
and so
what were you recording?
We'll talk about that later. And by the time I was done recording...
You do another podcast?
By the time I was done recording that thing, Marks had already put it up.
I just feel like, as a separate clip, it looks a little insane without the context of the show. That's all.
I mean...
And the comments on the separate clip are really mean.
My philosophy with podcasts, and I agree that it does look insane as a separate clip, but my philosophy is that I don't tend to do something that I don't want to be clipped. I will not try to just say something that, if it's clipped individually, makes me look stupid.
No, it was funny. I mean, it wasn't my idea. Steve... 10 minutes before showtime, Steve went, I should have got you to make a statement on behalf of Chase. And I went, well, I can try and rustle something up.
But you had it printed out.
Yeah. 1 minute before show, I went, is your printer working? I want to do it'll be funnier if I can make the noise on the mic of me rustling papers to make it sound quite serious.
Yeah. You're like Toto Wolff. You have it printed out.
Yeah, no, I thought it was good. I thought it was funny, but you can't take it too seriously. And now everyone is taking it far too seriously.
Oh, well. Don't say stuff on a podcast you don't want to be taken out of context.
Shake my head, honestly. I mean, the fact that some people thought it was a serious statement is beyond me.
I mean, even your buddy thought it was serious, though.
Who's my buddy?
The guy who you wrote it for.
Oh, yeah. No, I think he was mainly just baffled as to what the fuck I was doing. Is he making a statement about 2026?
What is this?
Yeah, no, you just got to take everything with a pinch of salt, I think, and the comments are very much not doing that. In fact, maybe I should make one of my topics today sort of like a live reaction. You know, the mean tweets thing that Steve did on Racer X once?
Okay. Yep.
Maybe I should do that as a segment. Sure. Actually, no, because I don't want people to know how mean people are to me.
I guess one thing we can talk about quickly, because I don't really, we don't have a clear answer. I'm not sure you would either, but there's now the rumor floating around that Chase is out for a little bit, which is... I
honestly don't know.
So it's... Who knows what's about to happen?
Well, there's fire is kind of my normal mantra.
Yeah, I mean, I do know that Paula was rented yesterday. He is still in California, as are all of KTM and Gas and all that, and he did not ride. So Make of that what you will.
We could do some really funny content if Chase isn't at the race of just me like walking around the pits lost.
I think you should do that anyway. I mean, you're going to be without the three amigos this weekend, so...
Yeah, it's the first time that I'm going to have no friends. I mean, the only friend I will have at the race is Jeff from Alpine Stars, and fuck me. Talk about scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, well,
don't even... You know what? He's not even the bottom of the barrel. He's not even in the barrel. I've scraped the barrel, thrown the barrel out, and then looked around and gone, oh, well, Jeff's here.
This is aggressive. Is this simply just because he's spilling the beans about your relationship?
Oh, I fucking hate Jeff.
It seems like it is.
No comment. No further comment. I fucking hate Jeff. No context needed.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's get into
Just to be clear, he will know that's a joke, but I've just realised that someone else might listen and not know that's a joke.
Yeah.
So
we love Jeff.
Well, I won't go that far.
I like Jeff. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the show, shall we? Leatt, Racetech, Namura, Partzilla, everyone who backs the show, we thank them so much. We'll tell you guys more about them throughout the program, and we'll each dive into our topics. So let's go into my first topic of the day, Lewis, which I was going to let you get on your soapbox a little bit about the Chase thing, but you've already done that. So instead, I want to pivot and talk about the fact that, listen, we all last week, all the last month or so, theorized to some degree, it was going to be a challenge for guys coming back from injuries or other, a.k.a. Jason Anderson, to get into the flow of things once pro motocross started, because it's never easy to come off of an injury and immediately hit. But in the second moto of the 450 class this weekend, in the top six, 5 guys that were coming back were there late in the moto, deep in that. The only other guy that had raced Salt Lake City and was in the top 6 was Aaron Plessinger. So, do we have to move past this whole you can't come back from an injury and immediately be good? Like, is this not a thing anymore? Everyone's just immediately ready to go?
No. I think that the data is massively skewed because the sheer number of riders coming back from injury meant that it was almost impossible for them to not do well because they made up 80% of the top 10. Then add in the fact that they were all incredible riders, it was just always going to work out this way. Now, if Jet was the only rider coming back from injury, and Eli and Hunter and Prado and others had all come in with a full Supercross season, maybe then the result would have been different. But I think it was effectively a field of injured riders. I mean, even the juxtaposition of Webb and Chase being like 37th and 40th in Moto 1 is quite funny in itself. Like, the 2 riders who made it through Supercross, immediately it shits the bed Moto 1 of outdoors. I found that quite humorous. I mean, aside from the tears I shed, but yeah. No, I think it's just the data is skewed because how could they have not done well? They were all injured.
No, I agree. They were all injured, but are you not surprised in the slightest that, like, late in the moto, Justin Cooper just cannot get around Jason Anderson or Jorge Prado, even though he's been racing this whole time? And then, like, again, we don't see any of these other guys that were sort of mixing it up in Supercross late in the season, right up at the sharp end of the field. Malcolm had a horrible day. And not like Malcolm's an outdoor guy. Those guys should beat him anyway. But right off injury, all of them are immediately fine and better. That's what I'm saying. Like, you're right. I think the evidence is there that these guys are all great riders and they should have done well. But all of them should have been in the top 6 immediately? That seems kind of insane.
I think that what you are learning here is that the upper echelon of Jet, Chase, Eli, Webb, Hunter is really that much better than someone trying to get into the upper echelon, i.e. J-Coop. I mean, you can't tell me that J-Coop is there purely based on his track record. And I think we saw the light shined on that even more so at round 1 of outdoors about the work. It would have been demoralizing for someone like J-Coop, I'm sure, although he's not very good at parlor. He hates scoop tires. So there's all of those factors. But, I mean, I got some heat about my J-Coop predictions pre-season. And I kind of started to doubt myself, so I did a bit of like digging to see how off I was. And his results last year were 6-4, 3-5, 4-5, 3-5, 6-10, 5. And that was in somewhat of a depleted field. I mean, there was no Eli, there was no Jet. So, point being, J-Coop has a ways to go to even hit the Hunter level. So I think the second in Moto 1 was an anomaly, more so than a statement of intent.
Okay. So then of the guys that did come back, obviously Jet stands out. He was amazing. Eli was very good as well. But I think it's underrated, in my opinion, how good Jason Anderson was too. Because like as you did in your pre-race interview with him, he mentioned how like he's only been on the bike a couple weeks. He's still got blisters all over his hands because he's hardly been riding. And then he's passing Jorge Prado late in the moto to get into the top 5. Like, I feel like he rode exceptionally well and like deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah, I would agree. Difficult for a rider like Anderson to get credit because he is Jason Anderson. And I think he's entered the aura of top talent where you almost will never get credit for a top 5 because it's Jason Anderson. A top 5 should be the lowest we expect in any circumstance. But yeah, dig a little deeper, and Anderson was very impressive. And although he almost pushed back a little bit in my interview when I said, "Oh, you're not known as an outdoor guy." Which is fair because 2022 he was great outdoors. He won 2 races, I think, Hangtown and Buds. But I think for this period in his career, at this point with the prep, I think Parla was way above expectations, and he couldn't have expected more.
Yeah, no, I agree, and like I think all of them like kind of outkicked their coverage. You did already talk about it a little bit on Pulp, but you know, I think that Eli Tomac also deserves a lot of praise. He came back, and we could have theorized, I think, that Jet would be the way that he was, just based on the fact that he's Jet and he's hardly ever lost at Fox. I mean, he's literally never lost an overall there, but I think he's lost 3 motos or something. But Eli Tomac, riding as hard as he did in the second moto, was also ridiculous. Like, I said coming in that I did not doubt his ability. I did not think that he would put 30 seconds or whatever it was on the rest of the field with Jet deep into his second moto coming off of a broken leg.
Again, no context. Okay, if you put it exactly as you just did, I hadn't watched the race, I would go, yeah, that's really surprising, because I would go, well, Chase, he put 30 seconds on Chase, but obviously Chase was out. So then when you dig a little deeper and you tell me the riders were Hunter and AP, then I'm like, oh no, that's a little, I can understand that. Fair?
Ish, but then I just go back to the But I just then would go back to the point that Aaron Plessinger was really good late in Supercross and figured stuff out, and theoretically speaking is a guy that can battle in this upper echelon, and immediately gets dropped 30 seconds by Eli Tomac. I don't know, like that's where I'm kind of drawing a comparison to. And even AP said post-race that like this is one of his, oddly enough, better tracks because he's ridden there so many times when he used to be on Star. So like even that, I don't call Paula a Tomac track.
No, but Tomac is just Tomac. He can go great anywhere. I've said, how many times have you heard me say Tomac's brilliant? I think this boils down to, I think, and as harsh as it sounds, I think you're giving AP and Jacob too much
credit.
Fuck, what's the word? Credit? Yeah. I think so.
Okay. Well, I mean, I feel like that all of those rides were better than I expected, just period. Like, did I think Jet could win? Sure. Did I think he'd go that fast with Eli Tomac? Not necessarily. And you're right, we don't have Chase there, so we didn't have a clearer picture of maybe Chase is just going with them, and that is the pace nowadays. But I thought they were both on a different planet for like 15 minutes.
One, Chase was not going with Jet, just to be clear.
Well, I'm just saying, so like,
we have that context.
In that second moto, if Chase doesn't have his goggles fall off and he starts with those guys, maybe he does go that speed. But I just, from the aesthetic, those guys were on a different planet, and they both are coming off of pretty gnarly injuries, and Jet was only 109 days post-surgery. Like, I'm dumbfounded that it's that fast that we're already at this level with those guys. Like, that's kind of what I'm trying to get at with this whole maybe the injuries are reading too much into it kind of thing. Some injuries will be harder to come back from, but a torn ACL and a broken leg, and these guys look like that 2.5 months, 3 months later, that's insane.
Yeah, well, obviously with Jet specifically, because we've never seen an ACL turned around so quickly. So that is an anomaly. I think Eli, he had a broken leg, but you saying broken leg makes you think like tib fib, like it. he was back on a bike with plenty of time, and I think Tomac, it's less surprising and less shocking, but Jet defied what we know as history in this sport. So
Yeah, but you're putting the cart in front of the horse a little bit here, because last week you were very iffy on Eli's ability to come back from this. The way
but this is what I clarified with Eli. I wasn't so much iffy about the injury. I was iffy about the 2 years of no outdoors.
Okay, but then
Injury, I was kind of like, yeah, whatever. The 2 years of outdoors is what I was kind of hung up on.
But that's what I'm saying. Like that. Okay, 2 years of outdoors off, and he looks like that.
Well, there we go. Now this is a different conversation. Yes, I'm surprised of that.
Okay, see, but that's what I'm trying to get at. Like all of this culminating into those guys putting 30 seconds on the field and riding like that is, I just, of all the things that could have shocked me at the first round, the results maybe are not. The way that they got there is.
Ultimately, the proof will be in the pudding this weekend because Parla was an easier start. So any flaws in conditioning or anything like that will shine through at Hangtown. So maybe that is a different story. If Hangtown is the same as Parla in many respects as far as results and performances, then no, we have clear-cut answers and no reason to doubt.
Yeah, fair enough. You're right. Hangtown will be a big test. It's going to be 100+ degrees. It's going to be absolutely insane to see who's actually in the best shape and who's feeling comfortable about it. But we'll have to see. Let me tell you guys about Leatt. Leatt Protection is in our brand DNA. It started 20 years ago with the groundbreaking Leatt neck brace and continues today with an extensive product offering of protective gear and riding apparel. But what Leatt really stands for is inspiring confidence and ensuring safety with every ride. And Leatt's new superstar, Benoit Paturel, right into the top 10 in pro motocross. We had, this is just a quick sidebar, but I feel like, both given Guillaume more of the nod over Paturel. Paturel rode pretty damn good, I feel like.
Yeah, but considering Guillaume's lack of prep and Guillaume's machine and et cetera, then I think that it was quite clear that Guillaume is going to be better.
Okay, but Paturel has...
I mean, with all due respect, I love Leatt and I love Paturel. Just realised this was actually a read and not a segment.
Yeah, but
Paturel was great.
Yeah, I mean, right outside of the top 10 or battling inside of the top 10 in the second moto, but right there, first moto, and pushing Guillaume all the way to the finish in the first moto. It's funny, as you mentioned, I think in Pulp, that like those two guys who have raced each other their entire careers end up finding each other here on different, motorcycle or different teams racing each other for 10th place at Paula. It's funny.
I think Guillaume, I wonder if Guillaume, I mean, I don't think so because fill-in rides don't really happen now. But if a factory team needs a guy, I think Guillaume's going to be right there. I mean, he's got no sponsors really. He's got no commitments.
I guess,
Maybe.
yeah, but do you think that like it has to be the brand that he's on?
No.
No?
No.
All right, fair enough. All right, my second topic of the day, Lewis. Let's jump over to Europe, where the MXGP, was it the MXGP of France or was it the MXGP of some other crazy...
MXGP of France.
MXGP of France. So then St. Jean was MXGP of St. Jean?
No, MXGP of Europe.
Europe, great. Okay, so Ernée just happened over the weekend. Let's now talk about MXGP, which is exciting, and I want to talk about MX2 instead. Kai de Wolf has a bad weekend. Sprained, is that what you would call his ankle in...
Banged up ankle
in practice, and just not a good weekend after that. Some crashes didn't help his case, but your guy, might be a year late on the prediction, but your guy, Simon Langenfelder, is starting to find his way into the driver's seat a little bit. He's bringing his buddy Andrea Adamo with him. But is this finally the time? Is this the time for Simon to take advantage of this?
Well, Simon says that it is no. That was a Simon Says joke. I don't know. I still have doubts because there are tracks coming up that are very much not Simon's forte. A lot of sand coming up, and if you look at his results, he has very much performed and executed in Switzerland. Yeah, Switzerland and Ernée. Both very similar tracks. Both tracks are really lean into his skill set. And I think that is what we've learned about Simon. He is great when he's great. And then when it's not really his weekend or his situation, there's a little bit of a struggle to execute to a degree. So I'm very interested to see, A, how he handles the pressure of the red plate at home, and then B, how he manages the situation at some of these tracks coming up. Essentially, if we leave Tushintal and Latvia, which are the next two, and Simon has extended his lead or managed his lead, I'll kind of be sold a little bit. But these next two are big, in my opinion.
Okay, so the momentum needs to continue flowing, basically, is what you're getting at.
Yeah.
On the flip side of this, though, DeWolf is now third in the championship. This weekend was the biggest detriment of it all. But it's not like he has really been, at any point in this season, taking the reins and running with it. And as you mentioned on Simone's behalf, some of the sand races will be a struggle. DeWolf should be fantastic there. But to me, it almost feels like he's blowing this at this point. I don't know if you have that same feeling, but it's like, why?
No, that's aggressive.
Well, I'm not saying like he's blown it yet, but he should have been in a better position to not be having those guys right on his back in terms of a point situation already, in my opinion. And that's because I view him as simply better than them. I think he is a better rider overall. I know that on hard pack conditions he's struggled, but he's also won races on hard pack conditions. So the fact that they were this close to just immediately pounce as soon as he has a small injury suggests that he hasn't really been hitting all cylinders thus far.
I agree with the sentiment, but I think you're putting Kai too far above Simon and Andrea. I think on toe-to-toe on their best days, Simon can be every bit as good as Kai. Again, it's just on his bad days where he's not really figured it out. And to be fair, that was Kai pre-championship. It was last year that Kai managed to figure out some sort of consistency and managing the bad days. So Simon still needs to get there. Andrea is the one that I would agree with what you're saying, but Andrea has elevated himself to another level this year. I think that's clear for all to see. So yes, Kai is blowing it because I do think Kai should not run away with it, but I think Kai should control this championship fairly easily. But also, Simon and Andrea are proving to be every bit as good. And I think that that's not too big a surprise because we know the talent that they have. And also, you can't come down on Kai too much because although some of his mistakes were dumb and they came from rushing maybe, it was just one of those days where everything went wrong for whatever reason. I mean, I've not seen a GP like that for a rider in some time.
Yeah, but I'm not just talking about this weekend is what I'm getting at. Like, the whole of him not having 25 points in hand ahead of those guys coming into this weekend, and they're pretty much right on his heels, is what I'm trying to get at. The fact that he didn't already extend this out to a fairly comfortable championship lead, whereas now he's sitting, he's 25 back? So if he was ahead of that much, he would be pretty much still right with them. But instead, now he's got kind of a big gap to pull back, which there's enough parity in MX2 happening this year that it's definitely possible. It's not like it's gone. But I'm just surprised that it wasn't already the other direction. You know, it was still this close at this point.
Well, first of all, he can pull it back, but I disagree about the parity. I think that Andrea, Simon, and Kai have proven to be the best in class. I don't think there's many other guys that can straight up get in there between those guys. And two, yeah, I can see what you're saying, but I don't think it's that surprising because he's been winning motos and stuff. It's just that Andrea and Simon haven't been that bad at all. They've been just as good. Like, Andrea has DNF'd a moto. So, like, if anything, you could argue that Andrea has been better than Kai. I don't want to say you're giving Kai too much credit because I too believe that Kai can be the best in class and is probably the best once it boils down. But Simon and Andrea have risen to the level this year, and I think it just boils down to that more than Kai sucking.
Well, I do want to fight back with you on your lack of parity discussion a little bit because just the last round before this, Everts, Kunin, and Benestant all found ways to get on the podium in a moto. So there's every possibility that one moto is DeWolf winning and Langenfelder sixth because those guys are there. That's what I'm trying to say is that he can pull this back quicker just based on the fact that there are a handful of guys that when they're hitting, they're finding ways to get up near the front at times.
Yeah, I just don't believe that will be consistently.
Well, it just happened last round. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I think it'll be one time, and like it's not a case where Simon will be fifth 5 races in a row, you know?
No, but 25 points, you get 6-1 moto and DeWolf wins the moto, that's a 9-point swing immediately, so he pulls it back down to 16. You know what I mean? Like, it's not... 25 points sounds kind of daunting because we're used to guys going 1-3, 1-2, 2-3, but there's every chance that like he could just pull a good chunk back in a moto, which is why I'm not saying 25 points. It's insane. Okay, so then I'll end this topic with this. we've now seen DeWolf have his struggles. Adamo, as you said, DNF to Moto. Langenfelder is firing on all cylinders, but as you said, the next few GPs are really going to be a determinant of this. Do you have a guy of those three that you're like, yep, if 3 weeks from now things go the way that I expect, they should win this title easily?
No, but I do kind of like Andrea's consistency. But I don't. That's not enough for me to be like, oh, Andrea's the guy. I just kind of like that. But that's all. That's my only real feeling.
And you think that, as you said, like those guys getting in there and mixing it up, that there's not a chance that Langenfelder and DeWolf start becoming consistent in the second half?
Yeah, but I think that Andrea's consistency so far trumps all. Like, he's basically been top 2 in most motos. Again, Andrea didn't score in the first moto of the year.
Yeah.
So for him to be in the position he's in really speaks volumes about how good he's been.
And just a little insight to that. Is there anything that you can tell us about what's going on within that program that's maybe helped Adamo and Langenfelder be better this year? Like more consistent, more put together?
Well, Adamo hated his bike last year.
Okay.
And was a real pain in the arse from what I know. So I think he's less of a pain in the arse and likes his bike more this year.
Okay.
Which helps.
And Langenfelder's just finally fulfilling his potential, basically? Or?
Yeah, Langenfelder's just doing what he should be doing all along. I think Langenfelder can be better than this. I still don't think this is really I still don't look at this as Langenfelder's killing it. I think he can be even better than this. He similar to what you were saying about Kai, I feel the same about Simon.
Well,
just ask Pumba.
I mean, clearly, last year you gave him, half the GP wins? 8 GP wins?
Yeah, I really believe that Simon is good. I just feel like maybe I was wrong, but who knows?
Just for reference, for those that I should have said this at the beginning, Langenfelder's on 424 points, Adamo on 413, so he's 11 back, and then 399 now for DeWolf, and they're well clear of Everts at this point, so it's really down to the three of them. But it's going to be fun second half of the championship. Germany coming up, what is it, next weekend?
No, this weekend.
This weekend, yeah, in Teutschenthal, so very cool indeed. Let me tell you guys about Racetech. For 40 years, Racetech has been supplying the motorcycle industry with high-quality suspension components made right here in the USA. For modern and vintage, Racetech is your go-to source for suspension performance. And as always, we very much appreciate Racetech back in the show and bringing you the third topic of the day, which my third topic, let's talk about 250s from Paula. I kind of want to just riff on Haiden Deegan a little bit here because to me, I feel like the approach and the manner in which he won both motos this weekend was one of the more measured Haiden Deegan rides that I've seen, just from the simple standpoint that in the past, he used to just go really fast, pass all those guys, get a gap, and then maybe manage late. At least in the first moto, it felt like he was really letting the race come to him. The second moto, he maybe pounced more in the middle of the race, but after the chance crash in the first moto is when he really decided to wick it up. So is this a different version of Haiden Deegan this year? Like, do you see the same things that I'm seeing, or is this just kind of maturing in that process of with it as well?
No, I think it's more a case of we haven't noticed that this is how Haiden does things. This was only his third two-moto sweep, which very much surprised me. And then, to your point, he didn't have the fastest lap in either moto, which, again, that hints that it's more of a measured, managed approach rather than the way Jet won. And now I'm starting to think that we just didn't really know. Because I think of Deegan, if you told me how many times has Deegan swept both motos, I would have gone, I don't know, 8 or 9? I never would have thought it would be a number as low as that, because I just think of Deegan as being the best guy, the most dominant guy. But maybe not so much.
Well, you're right. Like the sweep thing is definitely something that takes you aback. But I feel like in the motos that he has won in the past, has he not? I mean, this is like putting again the cart before the horse a little bit. But I feel like he's gone almost beast mode at points where it's just clicks into another gear, passes dudes really fast, and gets a gap. And it didn't look like that this weekend on a track that he's definitely more comfortable than all those guys at in the first place. Which that's why I'm surprised. Like the first moto, I was like, damn, Chance, we're 10 minutes in. Look at Hymas. He's still got 5 seconds on Deegan, who's just now getting around Vial and those guys. I just was surprised that the methodology and the way that he got to the lead in the first place wasn't more rapid.
Yeah, I can somewhat agree because, again, what I consider the Deegan stereotype, But also, he didn't need to. Like, I think those times we've seen beast mode in the past have been he's got to act because he's back in 7th and it's time to go. I don't know. I can't recall a time where we've seen that where he is within earshot of the lead and is like, oh, I'm just going to go for it now. You know? I think it's more situational, and we've only seen one race. So I'm certain we will see that coming up when he needs it. I just don't think he needed it at Parla. So I think that... we got a different Haiden Deegan.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what I'm trying to get at. I feel like this is a little bit of a different Haiden Deegan. Like,
I didn't mean to say that. I didn't mean to say that. It's not because I don't think it's different because because of the sweep number.
I know because of the sweep number, but I feel like he was riding so much more within himself than I remember seeing him outdoors.
Yeah, but I don't know. Again, I think your memory is playing tricks on you simply because of a Deegan stereotype. Which is where I'm saying I'm at as well.
No, because like look, there's been plenty of times, even in his title-winning year last year, where like the aesthetics, even if he was not necessarily blowing by people, was like, oh my God, he is loose and hanging off the bike, and I don't want to say out of control because he doesn't really have big crashes all that often, but that was the aesthetic. And I just don't feel like at any point this weekend I thought he was really pushing, you know what I mean? Like really hanging it out and showing that he is the best, fastest rider in this class or whatever. He wasn't fastest in qualifying, which he was kind of mad about. But then not fastest lap in either of the motos kind of suggests to me as well that at no point was he like, it's on. Like, I'm going to go all out as hard as I can. He seemed more measured.
Sure. I need numbers. I need to go back and see how many times he had the fastest lap in motos last year. And, because I just think... Because even we see it a little bit in Supercross, I just think that he is more of a methodical winner than maybe we presume because of the trash talk and stuff. Because a methodical winner doesn't typically trash talk like that. I think, and that's not a negative. I think that's actually a biggest compliment you can give him. I think that maybe we haven't given him enough credit for his racecraft, and maybe now we're starting to realize because I don't know why we're starting to realize. Maybe because we're at the point now where we were like, this is going to be Deegan's to win easily. And now we're like, oh, wait, look, he's actually just managing it. Whereas last year we were still like, we don't really know what we're going to get.
Well, that's what I'm trying to give him credit for is to me, I just feel like this is a positive sign of maturing, if you will. Because another thing that, will go into this whole process is as he gets onto a 450 next summer, is trying to learn the adaptation. He just can't hang it out that way all the time on a 450 and expect things to go well. Like, he's going to have to remain within himself more on a 450. At times he can go insane, but also at times he's going to have to back it down. And to be able to see that evolution happening, in my opinion, in the 250 class is already a really positive sign that graduation step to the 450 is going to be much easier. He's going to be quick right away, of course, but even from a racecraft standpoint, he might also be 100% prepared by then too.
Yeah, watching him at Parla, at one point it crossed my mind of like him being in the 250 class is a waste of time at this point. Like he's learned everything he needs to know. Like this is just, we're killing time at this point. That's what it felt like to me. Just from watching how controlled, how brilliant he was. I still really hope he goes 450 in Supercross. I don't think he does, but I think it's time. I really do.
Okay. Yeah. No, I agree. He's incredible. Do you think if you had to theorize, how long do we go before he loses a moto? Like, do you think it's going to happen quick?
Oh yeah, he can lose a moto this weekend.
Yeah, but I'm saying, do you think that? Like, rolling into Hangtown, he almost went 1-1 last year, except for the helicopter crash. So, I mean, he'll
lose the moto by the end of Thunder Valley.
By the end of Thunder Valley, okay. No, I think that's fair. I think he loses a moto at High Point for some reason. That just kind of sticks out to me, even though he was good there last year. But
no, I think that's because you're going with the California stereotype.
No, I just think that he's going to be that good early and be able to establish a big championship lead.
I think you're more thinking, but I think you're thinking High Point as in we go east and then it's all going to change.
No, High Point's like, I could have said any of the next round, Southwick, whatever. Like, I'm just saying that I think he's going to be so locked in through the first little bit of this championship that once he has a big championship lead is maybe when he takes his foot off the gas just a tiny bit, and that causes him to get a second place in a moto. So sure, Southwick, whatever. Like that, I think he'll go 1-1 till Southwick. How about that?
Okay, I think that's crazy. But interesting, very interesting Deegan insight that we need to. I think, dive into is what Joe said on Pulp about how he feels like every time Deegan makes a pass, he leaves the door open, which is perhaps, I think, a bit of overconfidence. Like, oh, I've passed this guy, he's got no chance. Just felt that was interesting to...
You know where that'll bite him in the ass is on a 450. Because there's going to be...
That's maybe the one step to go.
Well, that's going to be, there's going to be a handful of guys that he passes on a 450 and he leaves the door wide open. I'm not even talking about Barsha or Anderson. Like, I'm just AP. I think could even just rough him up just because he's leaving the door wide open. Like, that's a interesting insight that Joe gave us for sure.
Yeah, I thought that was the most interesting Deegan thing I've heard in a while.
Yeah. Very interesting to see. All right, first half of the show all done. I want to tell you guys about Namura, the leading provider of engine components for motocross, ATV, UTV, and personal watercraft for over 2 decades. Namura has been the preferred choice for premium and dependable engine components for more than 20 years. Whether you're restoring your vintage bike, rebuilding your four-wheeler, or upgrading your new 450 race motor, Namura has you covered. Our extensive line of cast and forged pistons, connecting rods, gasket kits, engine valves, and soon cylinder kits that enhance your engine's performance. Keep an eye out for our new and innovative products in 2025 and beyond. Stay up to date by following us on Instagram at Namura_technologies. All right, Big Lou, over to you.
Well, what was your fourth topic, first of all? Maybe that's worth talking about.
My fourth topic was going to be who is going to have the biggest drop-off in performance at Hangtown just because of the heat.
No.
Yeah.
Veto. I was actually quite excited because what would be an interesting topic is who is going to have the biggest drop off in performance over the rest of the season. Like
We could do that.
Who overcooked their coverage at Parla, but it isn't sustainable. That's interesting to me.
Okay.
So let's do that.
Sure.
On the fly. Oh, it's quite a scathing segment, isn't it? But that's what we're here for.
450 or 250?
Either. To be honest, the first thing that comes to mind looking at the results is I feel like Justin Cooper's second maybe set the bar too high to begin with, but we covered that. That stands out to me. Maybe RJ Hampshire's sixth, because with the injury and with the recovery, maybe as it gets hotter, as it starts to get more grueling, rougher, maybe that becomes harder to hit again. Maybe it was a little bit of first moto naivety. Just to be clear, not because RJ isn't capable. RJ can be top 5. I'm just thinking more in the recovery from the wrist. And of course, the 12th in Moto 2 maybe supports that a little bit. What have you got?
My pretty clear drop-off that I would say is Juju. And I like Juju, but that to me was like aided by him training at Fox for the last 3 months. A little bit.
Okay.
And, I just don't see him going toe-to-toe battling for the lead at Redbud.
I agree. And I put this to him after the race, and he said he hates Parla. It's his worst national of the year. He said, look at the results last year. It was the one I did the worst at. He said he hated his bike setup coming in. He wasn't ready. And basically, the only way should be up from here. Now, disclaimer, he also pushed back in Supercross on the rut talk and kind of didn't back it up. So there is that. But I kind of went to him with that line of thinking, and he really pushed back hard.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, he will have good motos because he's a very talented rider. I just don't know that I see him hole-shotting, battling up front when we're in the dog days of summer yet. Like, he's proved it in Supercross, so I shouldn't doubt him. But I don't know that I see him when it's really hot and gnarly and the ruts are deep and the track is loamy. Just toe-to-toe with those guys, no problem, every moto. Which is what he was
I
at
would agree, because he surprised the hell out of me. But I have to at least tell you what he told me, because we need to give some credit to that.
And I hope he does well. Like, he definitely looks like he's on it already, which is a good sign, because we talked about like the Supercross hangover. He was one of those guys that really seemed to want to win the last 2 races in Denver and Salt Lake City. Like, he was putting a lot of effort into that, but he still came in swinging to pro motocross. So good on him. Like, he made that transition well.
I don't want this to be true, but just trying to theorize and maybe predict what could happen. Maybe Marchbanks, maybe the starts will suffer more as we get east and the start is tilled more deeper. And also,
that's
of course, he has a lot of time at Parla as well. So maybe, maybe I don't want it to be true because Marchbanks was my pick for most impressive at Parla. I'm just trying to theorize what's coming up. For some reason, I'm drawn to Moserman as well.
Yeah, Moserman, I think was underrated good this weekend.
Yeah. Oh?
Huh?
Why did you just screamed old, didn't you?
No, I just said solid.
Oh,
Like he just was a
okay. I
solid
think you cut out.
performer.
Yeah, but understandably, he was overshadowed by Juju and Marchbanks. I think that's fair, but he was definitely I think after those two, he was the third guy on the surprise list. Yeah, there's not really many results that are just an anomaly. More so in the other direction, riders who did bad who should do a lot better.
Well, but in a way, that I was going to say, in a way, should that not mean that some of the guys that were up there should not be because those other guys, when they do get better, like obviously when Kitchen turns it around, he should be ahead of Marchbanks, right?
Well, not to completely just piss you off, but I said this on Pulp about Voland.
Here we go.
Did you not hear this?
No, I didn't. Sorry, what?
Okay, I said I didn't expect Voland to be in the top 10, and I said I don't really know what to expect from Voland, to be honest. Like I don't know what we consider good, and then I said I don't know if I expect him to be in the top 10 coming up because if you look behind him, you've got Ryder D, Harrop, Kitchen, Jordan, J-Mart, Austin. There's a lot of guys there who would expect to be in the top 10 and could make it harder for Voland to get back there.
Yes, I mean, you're not totally wrong, but I will say I know that when he was at Red Bull KTM, for example, immediately thought that he could beat all those guys except maybe Faulkner. Or J-Mart, I guess, because J-Mart was probably, around his early days. And he also, although he is a little bit better on West Coast tracks, said that he felt like not at home this past weekend, because he's so now used to the deep and loaminess of club that coming back to a track like this, he was like fish out of water a little bit, and he was really not happy after qualifying. So take of that what you will. But in his own opinion, he thinks he should be better once the series goes east, based on what he said. So
fair, but everyone says that.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I'm telling you what he felt.
Yeah.
So,
no, interesting. Let's do in the opposite direction.
Okay.
Disappointment, or people who would definitely be better. Like, there's no way this is representative. I mean, you've got to go Kitchen. We'll take that off of the board immediately. You've got to go Jordan. We'll take that off of the board immediately. I don't know if you've got to say J-Mart. I think the jury is a little bit out on that.
Are we thinking just 250s or what?
Well, I'm on 250s at the moment, so I'll move to 450s when I'm done with this. I think obviously Faulkner will be better as well, and I think Faulkner was actually quite good. He impressed and opened my eyes with a sixth in the first timed qualification session. I think that was a promising start and reflected the rumors about his speed at a practice track. So I definitely think he's going to score points coming up, which is wild when we're talking about that with Austin. But of course, I say score points. I think he'll be pushing the top 10. That's a better way of representing him.
My at least 250 wise, my has to be better is Ty Masterpool.
I don't know.
I mean, dude, there's an option for 2026, but I don't know that it gets picked up with that.
Okay, but the question wasn't has to be better. It was will be better. So will he be better?
Yeah, yes, because, well, okay, so he made his debut with the team at Fox last year, right? And came
and had a very similar day.
What I can't get around my head at this point is whether this is just a West Coast and he's not comfortable problem, or if there's something else behind the scenes going on. Because he whole shot the first moto, or was up there, he was leading, right? And so you would just think, okay, at worst we're going to get fifth here. This is Ty Masterpool. He's really good outdoors. He's been training only outdoors for 3 months now. So fifth place at worst. And he ends up seventh. So I don't, to me, that's just almost panic button level already to do that. Because what else are we going to see? How is he going to go better from here?
Let's head into, let's strap up our boots and open the door and enter controversy corner.
Okay.
I don't think Ty's as good as people think he is.
He's won motos, bro.
On the whole. You get what I mean? Like, yes, he can have his day, but I think people expect that day to be consistent, and I don't think he's got that in him.
Well, I just think that, similar to our discussion with and this is a different level, I get it, but similar to our discussion with Langenfelder and Adamo, the point with Masterpool that needs to be cleaned up is the consistency factor, bringing that more on a regular basis, because it's in there somewhere. He can win. He can win motos. He can win overalls. To me, it shouldn't just be that you can win at Red Bud or you can win at the High Point, and then you're a 10th place dude elsewhere, which is honestly kind of how it feels about with Kitchen at times. And that's also another big question mark that needs to be answered, because why is Levi Kitchen not better? Again, another guy that he's been back on the bike for a month and a half, almost 2 months. He's been training outdoors only, and he goes 10 DNF. The DNF, wipe it out, but 10th in the first moto, what?
Yeah, I don't think you can put Kitchen and Masterpool in the same section, but some people want to do that, whereas I think Kitchen is out and out a title contender, of course. I think Masterpool is a 7 to 15 guy who, on his day, can win a moto.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, well, that's been Controversy Corner, a debut segment. We'll shut the door behind us on our way out and return to regularly scheduled programming. 450 wise, people who I am certain will be better. I mean, again, the results were fairly representative, I think.
Malcolm's going to be better. Come on.
Yeah. Although 8 to 12, so I think that 12th in the first moto wasn't exactly crazy.
He'll be better. He, in my opinion, I like Benoit Patrel and Valentin Guillot. He should beat them.
Yeah, no, of course.
So that's what I'm saying.
But Malcolm should be the guy right in front of them. You've got the group, Malcolm, Benoit Guillot, the Koulasses, Harlands of the world. That is the stack.
Yeah.
Let's move on to my second segment, because I almost spoke about this gentleman just now, and I don't want to ruin it. So I got a tweet earlier from @HEPennypacker51. @LewisPhillips71 saying Cooper Webb was one of the most impressive riders is such a reach. I think you can talk yourself into anyone being impressive. Now, first of all, idiot. No, I'm joking. The idea of someone being impressive is completely subjective, because in order to impress, you're basing it off of what your initial expectation was. So, and we all have a different initial expectation. So, calm down. 2, I stand by it. Hey, Kellen, second moto, Jet had the fastest lap time, Eli had the second fastest lap time, Cooper Webb had the third fastest lap time. That is not something that you go, oh, yeah, nice, yeah, good. You go, what? Also, Kellen, little trivia, in the second moto, there were 5 sectors. Jet had the fastest time in 4 of the sectors. In the other sector, a Monster Energy Yamaha Star Racing rider was the fastest. Who was it?
Yeah, of course it's Cooper Webb, because
no, you're not. You're meant to play the game.
But okay,
you play the game.
Can I jump in?
Who
here?
was it? Play the game. Who was it?
Webb.
No. What would be your reaction?
Okay, yeah, you want me to say Tomac, but also...
No, Kellen, it wasn't Tomac. It was actually Cooper fucking Webb. Fuck me, that was difficult. Fucking hell.
Okay, so I think Webb should be better. I'm sorry. I really do. I know that it's maybe not what you should say about him at this point, because he's never really proven it on a 450 outdoors, but he's a reigning Supercross champion, so it means that he knows how to go toe-to-toe with these guys on some level. And on some level, in this planet of Earth of ours, 9 years ago, Cooper Webb was the fastest 250 rider in the world on an outdoor track. So how the hell can he not find a way to be the level of these guys any day of the week is insane.
It's over, Kellen. Those days are gone. He's dead. No. No, but this is, again, going back to what I said about impressing is subjective, because I came in with zero expectation of Cooper Webb. From Supercross hangover to FUM to, let's be honest, 100% wasn't motivated for no, that's wrong. 100% wasn't motivated to run for the championship outdoors. I thought we were going to have a slow start. And you know what? I'm not even necessarily talking about results. I actually haven't factored that in once. I'm impressed with the lap time in the second moto and the fact that he had one of the fastest sectors in either race. That's impressive to me, and that's above what I expected of Cooper Webb. I've not mentioned the results at all, which our friend here on Twitter, obviously Simple Brain, can't comprehend going further than the results sheet.
Okay.
Little brain.
I'm not going to go that far. I just think
It's so
coming
difficult
into
for
this,
me
like
to-
the power rankings had Cooper Webb like 8th or whatever, I would have put him top 5. I mean, personally.
Okay, Kellen. Let's open the door to controversy corner again.
Yep.
You've just put Cooper Webb in the top 5. Who are you dropping out of the top 5? Because I'm presuming you've got Jet Eli Chase in there.
Yep.
So who else is in the top 5?
Probably Prado coming into the season. But now
You are high.
Huh?
No. You said coming into the season.
Yeah.
You can't say now.
Oh, you're saying right now who would I put top 5?
No. You said coming into the season you had Webb in your top 5 in your power rankings.
Yes. Behind Prado.
Yep, and behind Eli, Jet, and Chase.
Yes.
So you had Hunter behind Webb.
Yep.
That's insane.
That's insane.
That's insane.
That the
After what we saw from Hunter last year.
Supercross champion would be just in front of a guy that was coming off an injury is insane to say.
Hunter was great last year.
Of course he was
Webb
great.
wasn't motoring down for outdoors.
Of course he was great. And I also did say coming into the season that if you want a dark horse pick to win the opener, Hunter Lawrence was my dark horse pick, if you could even say that, because he finished second in the championship. But Cooper Webb is coming off of winning a 450 Supercross title. He should be right there. I'm sorry. I know that it's hard to get over the Supercross hangover, but you can't just immediately say, like, yeah, that guy coming back from injury is immediately going to be better than Cooper Webb.
Yes, you can.
Okay. No, I would have put
Webb's
him in for that.
outdoor strong days were a long time ago.
He rode pretty good at Nations on a 250.
Maybe Mike LaRocco can come back and also beat Hunter. I don't know.
Here we go, this guy. Yeah, Mike LaRocco just won the Supercross title. Yep.
I just think that, again, I'm not necessarily talking about results. I just think, I don't know. Yes, I was lower on Webb than most coming into the outdoors. I will 100% admit that. And again, that's why I was impressed, because it's subjective. These fucking idiots on Twitter, Kellen, started a new segment on Saturday, cancelled it before the second motos. That's how far I got. After each moto, I was like, you know what? I'm going to tweet who impressed me the most. Because why not? It's free. So I do that. And I'm obviously trying to I'm not going to go with Jet. Also because, like, I'm not that impressed with Jet 1. It's Jet fucking Lawrence. As we covered last week, I'd pick him with no legs. And of course the replies are, how can you not say Jet? And I'm just like, okay, I can't do this. I can't do this.
You know what I'm learning?
I cannot do this any fucking more.
You know what I'm learning, Lewis, is that
I feel I'm gonna retire.
genuinely,
Oh.
you and I are in a shitty position, if you will, because
Yeah, I'm retiring.
you know how we had that conversation about like the guy like Matt and Tom in F1 that are like fans that just have opinions and like just talk about stuff, and it's all like we're looked at as people that, you know, oh, you're the journalist, you're supposed to know the sport and all this stuff like that. So the second you have a slightly wrong opinion, it just diminishes our value.
I don't think my opinion was wrong.
But I'm just saying, like, in their view, you have a slightly wrong opinion, it diminishes our value. Whereas if those non-journalists have the same opinion and get it sort of right, it's amazing. Holy crap, you're better than everybody else. You know what you're talking about. But if we are right, it's just what we're supposed to do. So we can never win. And I just ignore people that have comments about it then.
Also, if we're airing gripes here. So, Lewis Arslicks Chase Sexton. Okay. After Parler genuinely had 2 comments of this. Fucking hell, I hate this Lewis guy. All he does is kiss Jet's arse. Okay. How can you say Cooper Webb is so impressive? Okay. So now I'm kissing everyone's arse, which actually means I'm unbiased. If multiple different people are saying that you're kissing a different person's ass, that actually means you're unbiased.
Yeah, I mean,
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
I think-
That means you're treating everyone the same.
I, as your friend, I do think that you are a very good unbiased journalist. But I think that the aesthetics is that you love Chase Sexton, and that's why
Well,
people
yeah,
say
the
that,
jokes
so.
are people struggle with jokes.
Yeah.
I've just had a review in for the speech on Pulp.
Stop looking at comments.
No, a text. I listened to your statement on Pulp. Quite funny that was. I figured people wouldn't understand. It was very British humor. Really, really funny though.
Okay, great. Can I tell you about
That's from Max
Partzilla?
Nancy. Thank you, Max.
Can I tell you about Partzilla?
Sure. Well, let me tell you about Partzilla, Kellen.
Yeah,
Fuck
finally,
me.
you're there.
The amount of time I spent under that truck, I really feel like I was an investigative journalist and entrenched myself deep, deep, deep into the goings-on. Then, to make it even better, caught up with them at the end of the day as well. I've completed the challenge.
Okay, so what can you tell me about Partzilla?
Partzilla is amazing.
Fantastic. Partzilla.com is the premier OEM parts dealer and distributor. They sell OEM parts for Honda, Kawasaki, Polaris, Can-Am, Suzuki, Arctic Cat, Sea-Doo, Ski-Doo, and Yamaha motorcycles, ATVs, PWCs, and snowmobiles. Visit Partzilla.com to see their extensive line of parts and accessories. And we're actually going to do a really fun giveaway with Partzilla, but I'm going to wait till next week because I want to actually run it earlier in the show so more people listen. So stay tuned for that. And it's going to be really insightful to learn about the behind the scenes of the sport and of course, the Partzilla Blaster Power PRMX program, which, by the way, rough weekend for our friends over there at PRMX. 38th for Mitchell Harrison, 29th for Jack Chambers, 33rd for Hunter Yoder, and Mark Finnis did not qualify. So I don't know what Julian's going to do. Drive the truck into a bridge or...
Of course, Chambers is better than that. And of course, Finnis is better than that. And of course, Harrison is better than that. And that's my race report.
So Hunter Yoder not better than that?
Wait, what did Hunter Yoder get?
33rd.
It was his first national, so like that is within the realm of possibility, I feel.
Yeah, and I will say, so he didn't score points in either moto, which is, he's down the order, but...
Well, neither did Austin Faulkner.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. So Yoder was the first guy that landed on Faulkner when he went down. And so they were both, 100, seconds behind everybody by the time they got up. So...
Well, 100 seconds seems a little dramatic, but never mind.
it was probably accurate. You should have seen how long they were down.
Wait, so is Yoda the one who punctured Faulkner's leg?
Could be. I don't know how Faulkner punctured his leg. I would assume he landed on the foot peg.
No, someone's foot peg cut him.
Oh, someone's foot. Oh, when I looked at Faulkner down, Yoder was the first guy I saw hit him, but Faulkner was already off the track. So maybe someone else hit Faulkner as he was rolling off the track? I don't know. I'm confused.
No one knows.
Okay. What else you got for me?
I don't know, to be honest. I actually, to be honest, forgot it was my segment until just now. And I don't actually have another thing written down. We could play the Prado game, but I feel like that's been debated to death at this point. And honestly, I don't have much to offer because I do just genuinely think this is what Prado should have done. It's going to be hard. It's going to be a process. I don't think that, as I said, if Prado wins an overall, it will come Iron Man, Buds, Unadilla, and if he does it, it'll be super, super impressive because it's going to be hard to even get to that point this year. Next year, very different story. This year, it's a tough road to toe, as the saying goes.
I was going to say, not to steal your topic, but why don't we talk about what I texted you about after the race on Sunday, which is it's insane that guys like Pat Terrell and Gio and Lupino and even in the past Strybos and DeSaul could come do one-offs and kind of fit in where they're supposed to fit in, but for whatever reason, Prado, Vial, etc., the guys that come here full-time seem to struggle a little bit more?
Yeah, well, I was going to say, can you say that's a bike thing? But then Pat Terrell's on a new bike, Gio's on a stock bike.
Yeah.
I think it's very clear. This is actually what I replied to you. I think it's very clear. From 1 to 9, the 450 class specifically is very, very, very strong. So those riders like Prado, who are entering that realm, it's a challenge. But I think MXGP is stronger from 9 to whatever. And therefore, the riders who are in that bracket in GPs look much better when they get to here.
Okay.
That's my final assessment. I think that, and I ran that by someone in MXGP who somewhat agreed.
Yeah, but again, like, not to, discredit Jorge or anything like that, but when Desal and Strybos came here on like a part-time schedule and ran 3 races, they were right kind of where they would be in GPs, 3rd to 5th.
Yeah, but at that point, it was a lot weaker than it is now at the top level. At that point, you had one guy who, like Dungey, who was clear cut, and then I don't think the names behind didn't quite carry the same outdoor punch.
Please hold. I want to look at this.
Okay, let's just we could go back into controversy corner if I find something else. Do you want to know who I hate? No, I'm joking.
Oh yeah, go for it. Let us know who you hate. Is it
that would be too
or whatever on Twitter?
That would be too controversial for controversy corner even. That would be more reserved for
When did they come here? 13, right?
Yeah, 13 Muddy Creek.
Well, they did like 2 or 3 nationals in a row.
Yeah,
right?
Thunder Valley and Muddy Creek.
Yeah, so Desal and Strybos, let's see, they were between 5 to 7. Villapoto, Dungey, Barsha, Kennard, Stewart.
And then Desau and Strybos?
Pretty much, yep.
Yeah, that's about right.
I mean, like, they mixed it. They got ahead of Barsha in a couple motos. They were with Stewart in one of them.
To be clear, when I said about it being Dungey, and then I was thinking of the year that Desau went 2-2 at.
Yeah, 2010 was different.
That's what I was calling upon. Yeah, that's about what Prado did. And they were on bikes they're well familiar with. So I think that, if anything, supports what Prado did.
Okay.
Rather than goes against it.
Sure.
They were also in the throes of their season, so had data, information, race fitness, and they were going to Muddy Creek and Thunder Valley, which are more traditional. I don't think that's detrimental to Prado at all. I think that's in line. I do think it goes worse for Prado this weekend, not because he rides worse, but I think that the heat, the hard pack of Hangtown will be a different challenge again with the Kawasaki, more data gathered. And then Thunder Valley sort of time, I think we'll maybe start to see a bit of an uptick, but by that I mean 5, 4 at a push. And then I think podium is going to come in the second half. That's kind of where I'm at.
If he doesn't whole shot a moto by, let's say, Southwick, are we like, what the heck is going on? How has Cowie not figured that out?
It's funny because he's very sensitive about his starts.
Yeah.
Like in Supercross, joking with him, at San Diego, I walked up to him and said something like, "Oh, fuck yeah, your starts are good still." And he was like, "What do you mean? I'm a great starter.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they be good?" And I was like, I don't know. I was joking.
I think that'll make him, I think, like, if he goes, like 4 to 6 for the next 3 weeks, he'll be less annoyed than not getting a whole shot. Like, if he whole shots and then goes 4 to 6 the next couple weeks, he'll be more okay with himself, I think.
Yeah, I think so as well.
So,
and I think he needs to do that to see the pace and see the way of racing at the front, because it is very different with outside lines and whatnot. I think that was a process I know that was a process for him at Parla as well, was just seeing the rider IQ. It's very different, the way that Americans read these tracks versus the way an MXGP rider would, because an MXGP rider reads the inside line as the fastest line, and that is actually rarely the case in America. Mm-hmm. So that's another element to getting used to racing in America that maybe we don't play into too much. Yes, you need to get used to the tracks, but you also need to get used to the way to read the tracks, which is maybe one in the same, but adds a bit more depth to the comment.
Okay. But Patrell, Vigio, look like they figured that out.
Yeah, but again, I think it's easier for them because ultimately, with all due respect, you put Harlan, Drake, Nichols into a GP and they're way back. You put J-Coupe AP Hunter into a GP and they're going to be in the mix somewhat. You know, my point being that Jorge's challenge is obviously, but relatively much more heightened than Guillaume and Patrell. It's also Guillaume, not Guillaume.
Yeah, I don't say Guillaume.
No, I know, but that's what the Americans are saying, including Steve on Pulp, where I was constantly saying Guillaume and he was just hitting me back with Guillaume. He wasn't picking up what I was putting down.
Well, Steve also likes to call him Mikkel, like Mikkel Pashon, but he's Mikkel Harup. So
he's got problems.
Harumph?
Yes, that's one. Booking flights, another.
Yep. Any problems? You got
Well-
another topic, or are we done?
Nothing. We're done. That's 3 from me.
Oh, okay. Well done. Again, big thanks to Leatt, Racetech, Namura, Partzilla for backing the show. And I will not be at Hangtown. Big Lou will. I hope you bring many, many gallons of water, electrolytes as well. Make sure you have a Gatorade or two, too.
Will I be getting paid more for next week's show, seeing as I'm carrying it with being the only one on site?
No.
Okay.
No.
Will I be getting paid, seeing as you're now part of Pulp? Will I be getting paid more for the Pulp show, seeing as I was used as a separate clip?
No, not really.
Okay.
You can take that up with Travis Marks.
Coolio.
Travis Marks is who you'd like to dial on line 1. I know you're looking for HR yesterday, so...
Coolio. Yeah, fuck. But Steve's really going to have to tempt me back after everything I've been through this week. Really going to have to... I mean, some people are going to be stoked at hearing that. I don't know. It's not very nice going on Pulp.
I'm sorry.
The backlash in the days that follow is a bit like, eh.
Yeah. Well, I don't read the comments anymore. And those people can fuck off. Like that guy, what was it, McStovepipe? Said, stop reading the comments. We're the smart ones.
I just had a text saying, have you run out of hostage tape? So
What?
I wasn't planning to kidnap anyone today, but seeing as they've put it right in front of me, maybe I can fit that into my schedule.
All right. Well, let us know how it goes. And we'll talk to you next week. After Hangtown, see what happens in the extreme heat, whether or not Jorge Prado fries, and you'll be alongside of him in the Alpine Stars unit or not.
Sounds good.
All right. See you later, guys.